a continuous spray of crude oil gushing from a busted pipe into Ecuador's rainforest. Landscapes once green, now coated in black.
Over 1,000 oil spills have happened in the Ecuadorian Amazon from 2000 until now. Many of the latest oil spills have been caused by Petroecuador, Ecuador's own oil company, and Chinese oil companies drilling in the Amazon, but the impacts remain the same. Most of these oil spills end up affecting indigenous communities who are usually the least responsible for them.
Texaco utiliza la tecnología más barata con tal de tener mayores ganancias como recursos económicos, pero a cambio del mayor efecto ambiental y el mayor efecto en la salud de la gente.
De 20 niños que nacen, a 15, 16 niños les da esto.
Many indigenous tribes view the earth as their mother and oil as the blood of our planet. As early as 2000, Uwa and Sapara leaders from the Amazon have stated that pumping oil out of the ground would upset the cosmic balance and send the world spinning towards destruction. We now know this as a scientific fact. Indigenous communities depend directly on the land and water, and if that's contaminated, it destroys their livelihoods and their cultures. Oil drilling does not only cause oil spills, but it also leads to increased road development, illegal logging, and the whole host of activities that cause deforestation. This video focuses on how one US state is quite responsible for this issue. The fate of the great Amazon rainforest in Ecuador is linked to the fate of California by oil. About 89% of the crude oil exported from the Amazon forest comes from the country of Ecuador. Now, 66% of this crude Amazonian oil goes to the US, mainly into California. Despite its progressive image and progressive leaders, new research shows that California consumes more oil from the Amazon than any other region in the world.
California oil is really dirty.
So that's my friend and fellow climate YouTuber Becky Hogue. Make sure to check out her awesome channel called The Beckysphere, which is focused on climate journalism. And being a native Californian, Becky is here to give us some perspectives on her research regarding California's energy and oil policies.
California oil fields are one of the most emissions-heavy operations in the world, even more than the infamous Canadian tar sands. And it's partially due to the fact that we're reducing our imports from Canada, and so it's increasing production in California. California is the nation's 7th largest producer of crude oil and the 3rd largest oil refiner.
Marathon, Chevron, and Valero are the top 3 refiners of oil from the Amazon, and all of them are located in California. Chevron has spent nearly $2 billion fighting its court-ordered mandate to pay $9.5 billion in cleanup and community reparations costs that it is responsible for in Ecuador.
So Chevron has gone out of its way to avoid talking about the real issue, which is that it committed environmental crimes in Ecuador that have devastated indigenous groups, devastated farming communities, poisoned this incredibly important ecosystem that's critical to the survival of the planet for all of us. They don't want to talk about that. Why? Because it will undermine their business model. Chevron and other fossil fuel companies like to go into areas, take out the oil, get all the profits they can, and leave behind massive pollution that the public or the area communities have to pay. They report these enormous profits, but we, meaning the people, are actually subsidizing them because we're paying the cost for their pollution while they get the profits.
So the same story is continuing in Ecuador by Petroecuador and Chinese oil companies, but let's see what's happening in California.
In 2020, regulators issued more than 1,900 permits for new oil wells. And California's oil is denser and more carbon intensive. There's also enough methane leaking out of the process to make California oil worse of an environmental impact than coal. The carbon intensity of crude oil from California's oil fields has increased by 22% from 2012 to 2019, despite overall production dropping 20% during that same time period. So the report basically says that we have to do it at the same time. We can't reduce imports and expect the in-state oil to increase, and we surely can't expect the in-state oil to decrease and the imports to go up, because that would be a disaster for the Amazon.
California converts 50% of the Amazon oil exported globally into fuel for airports such as the Los Angeles airport, distributors such as Amazon.com, trucking fleets of companies like PepsiCo, and retail giants like Costco. So it's a sad realization that many of us, including myself, may have unknowingly consumed oil from the majestic rainforest.
A 2008 study found that the decline in production that would result if California stopped approving new oil wells would be approximately equal to the decline in oil consumption forecast by the California Air Resources Board's scoping plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Ending the approval of new oil wells and accelerating the ongoing decline in the state's oil production would therefore not require an increase in imports. An update to the finding of the 2018 study using data from the 2020 CARB Commission study that charted 3 pathways for California carbon neutrality by 2045 strengthens this conclusion. Thus, under the California's current climate policies, California can and should simultaneously reduce in-state oil production and oil imports. So it seems like we really just need to get on renewables and battery storage and just kind of drop them both. That's the main solution.
After this video, make sure to head over to Becky's channel and check out her latest video on whether California is really a climate-friendly state. Highly recommend watching it. So California's GDP is $3 trillion, which is the largest by US state and the 5th largest economy globally. Meanwhile, the country of Ecuador has a total GDP of $98 billion. That's 30 times less than that of California. So it's no surprise that the new President Guillermo Lasso wants to double oil drilling because poor countries want to follow the path of wealth and prosperity that's laid out by rich countries like the US. Environmental burden is transferred from rich countries to poorer ones who want to willingly sell their natural resources for the consumption of the wealthy in order to increase their GDP and well-being. As Becky mentioned, we need California and frankly most of the world to work on reducing oil consumption, whether it's domestic or imported. The issue is complex because the reality is that our modern society relies heavily on oil. Ecuador's extraction of oil enables the growth of its economy and jobs, and Amazonian indigenous communities who usually just want to be left alone are being hurt the most. So here are some practical solutions to which we can add our voices. Companies like, ironically, Amazon, Costco, and PepsiCo can demand more transparency and reduce their dependence on Amazonian rainforest oil. They can also call for prevention of oil drilling in the Amazon. The government of California can certainly work towards not contributing to oil drilling expansion in the Amazon, planning to eliminate Amazon crude oil consumption, increasing energy and fuel efficiency, and increasing renewable energy measures. So make sure to check out Amazon Watch's solutions and pledge page for more action information, and all the links are in the description below. Ecuador's economy currently depends on extraction of oil and other natural resources from the Amazon. This is because natural assets like biodiversity and forest ecosystem services are not valued at all by our modern economy. Ecuador needs alternative sustainable models of development. We truly need green economy initiatives such as financing reforestation, agroforestry and agroecology, and community-led sustainable ecotourism. Most importantly, indigenous land rights need to be protected. Almost 80% of the world's biodiversity is protected by indigenous communities, and empowering them is a proven way of land stewardship. I created a detailed video on why indigenous cultures are so important for our planet. So if you want to learn more about this topic, make sure to check out this video, and also head over to Becky's channel and check out her super informative videos. So make sure to like this video, share this, and subscribe for more videos, and thank you so much for watching.